Okay, so have you ever looked at a massive skyscraper or even just the app you use every day and wondered, how did this get made? Well, the secret is a framework called the Project Lifecycle, and today we're going to break it all down.
You'd think an idea is an idea, right? But the answer to this question, well, it can literally make or break your entire project. Choosing the right path isn't just a small detail. It's the most critical decision you'll make.
You can think of the life cycle as the project's DNA. I mean, every single project has one, but that code can be wildly different, and it leads to completely different results. It's the blueprint that shapes the whole journey.
And at the very heart of that blueprint is the development approach. So I want you to imagine a spectrum. On one end, you have this world of super detailed planning where every single step is mapped out. And on the complete opposite end, a world that just thrives on change, where being flexible is everything.
So let's start at that first end of the spectrum, the world where planning is king. This is the predictive approach, and you'll often hear it called waterfall, and you're about to see exactly why.
See? It's just like a series of waterfalls. Each phase flows down into the next, and once a phase is done, there's really no going back. That's why so much work gets poured into getting that initial plan absolutely perfect from day one. This approach is the absolute gold standard when you just can't afford surprises. Think about building that bridge again. You have to know exactly what you're building before you pour any concrete. Same goes for industries like healthcare, where the rules are pretty much set in stone.
But what if your project isn't like building a bridge? What if it's more like exploring a new continent? Well, that's where the other end of our spectrum comes in, the adaptive approach. This is a world where change isn't just tolerated, it's actively encouraged.
And this right here, this shows the fundamental difference in thinking. Predictive is all about control. You lock down the plan to manage cost. But adaptive is all about discovery. You embrace the unknown to find the most valuable outcome.
So instead of one long single push to the finish line, the team works in these short, intense sprints. At the end of each one, they deliver a small, working piece of the project. Then they get feedback, learn from it, and adjust. It ensures they're always building what people actually need.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. In the predictive world, the scope, what you're building, is fixed. It's the anchor. Schedule and budget are kind of flexible, but in the adaptive world, it's flipped. Time and money are the fixed anchors for each cycle, and the scope is what can change as you learn more. So when is the adaptive approach your best friend? When you're heading into the great unknown, building a brand new app. You have a vision, sure, but you need user feedback to really shape the final product. In this world, being able to pivot is your superpower.
But here's the reality check. In the real world, most projects don't fit perfectly into just one of these boxes. No, the most successful ones often live right in the middle, using a hybrid approach to get the best of both worlds. And this is where the real magic can happen. You get to mix and match. You can blend the rock-solid structure of the predictive world with the awesome flexibility of the adaptive world to create a framework that's perfectly tailored to your project.
Let me give you a classic example. Let's say you use that creative, kind of messy, adaptive approach to design some groundbreaking new software. But then, when it's time to roll it out to the whole company, you switch to the predictive approach for a super smooth, organized deployment and training plan.
Or picture this. You're building a smart building. The actual construction, the steel, the glass, that part is totally predictive. You need a plan. But at the exact same time, you have a software team working adaptively, building the complex IT systems that'll run everything inside. They're happening in parallel.
So you've got this awesome toolbox with predictive, adaptive, and hybrid tools inside. How in the world do you know which one to pick? Well, the answer is always, it depends. Let's look at what it depends on. Choosing the right approach is really a delicate dance, It's about balancing the work itself with the culture of your organization. A company that's built on rigid control might really struggle with the adaptive world, and a startup that thrives on change might feel totally trapped by a predictive plan.
Now, you might be thinking these approaches sound like totally different languages, but what if I told you they all share a common DNA? That there's a set of principles that applies to every project no matter what. Let's dive into these 5 project constants.
It turns out it doesn't matter which road you take. Predictive, adaptive, hybrid, it doesn't matter. There are 5 fundamental things you will always be doing. These are the constants of project management.
And please, don't think of these as steps in a line, like you do one and then the next. Think of them more like 5 different hats you're constantly swapping throughout the entire project. You're always doing a little bit of planning, a little bit of executing, a little bit of monitoring, all at the same time.
Now check this out. In a predictive project, you see this massive burst of energy in the planning part. It's like you're building a giant, perfect highway before anyone starts driving, just to make sure the rest of the trip is completely smooth.
But look at the adaptive world. It's a totally different rhythm. Instead of that one big bang of planning up front, you have these smaller, repeated cycles of planning, doing, and checking. It's more like you're building the road just a few feet ahead of the car, constantly adjusting your path as you go.
So the next time you're starting a project, don't just ask, how are we going to get this done? First ask, what's the right way to approach this? Because believe me, answering that first question right, that will make all the difference.